Hey everyone, it's Rayma, and Happy New Year. For this new year, Bart and I, one of our resolutions is to, because we can't travel and we can't visit family and do all of the things that we did before COVID, we're trying to expand we're traveling through food here at home in our kitchen. And so every week we're going to cook new recipes from cuisines all over the world. So this week we're cooking Korean food for dinner every single week. And today we're going to be making two recipes using Korean condiments that we've never used before. So come with me and I'll show you this ingredient and I'll show you what we're going to make with it today. Alright, so actually we have three condiments that are Korean that we've never cooked with before. And the first is a perilla oil. I'll show you what the leaves look like. These are perilla leaves. And they're used in Korean cooking, in Japanese cooking I think as well. And so this is the oil made from the perilla leaves. This is apparently, according to Bart, very viral umami seasoning. It comes in this jar here. It's kind of an all-purpose umami seasoning. We've never had it before. We've never used it before. And we're going to be using that today as well. And then we have this Korean soy sauce, and it's flavored with all kinds of different ingredients, including shiitake mushroom extract, apple extract, pear extract, and it is completely vegan. And so we are going to be using these three condiments, all new to us. We've combined them here to make a sauce for soba noodles. We're making a Korean soba noodle dish. And then here we're having a appetizer dish, and we're going to be making a cold acorn jelly salad. This is the acorn jelly. You can make it yourself with acorn jelly powder, but we found it at our Korean market just down the hill from where we live in faculty housing. And so this is what it looks like. It kind of comes in this tray, and we're going to cut it into cubes. And here we have a dressing for the salad, which also features that umami seasoning, a little bit of sesame oil, gochugaru, a Korean chili powder, and a little bit of that new to us soy sauce as well, and agave syrup for sweetness. So let me show you how we're going to combine it together to make the salad and also to make the soba noodles. So here we have our acorn jelly salad veggies. They're all raw veggies. We have cucumber, carrot, the green part of the green onions. We have a little bit of Korean green chilies, some napa cabbage, slivers of red bell pepper, and here are the perilla leaves that I showed you earlier. They're so pretty. I've never actually cooked with them before, but they just have a wonderful laciness, and the backs are actually this wonderful dark purple color. So we have a whole bunch of extras, which we have to use for something else. And I've also cubed the acorn jelly, so I'll put that in now. And then Bart is going to mix the salad by hand to not break up any of the acorn jelly. So while Bart is mixing, I'm going to try the acorn jelly just by itself. We got this for free because the man said, oh, it is expiring today. So it has a little bit of like a funkiness. And I don't know that's because it was free and it was like expiring. But apart from that, it tastes like nothing. Yeah, it has the has like an agar texture. Yeah, it tastes like nothing. There's a little bit of like a funk to it though. Alright, so here is the completed acorn jelly salad. It just needs a dash of sesame seeds on top. Bart is very proud that he got his acorn jelly for free, and every time they see this Angmo or Haliman come into either in the United States H Marts or the Korean store here, everyone's very impressed. And so they're always very nice to Bart, and they give him free things. One time in the US at H Mart in Chicago, there was a lady who actually made him a fresh hot tteokguk and taught him how to make it because she was so impressed that he was interested in learning how to make these delicious Korean yeasted pastries. So here's day one of our Korean week. It's actually not day one. So here on the side we have just regular napa cabbage kimchi, and then I made kimchi dumplings earlier this week ahead of Korean week. I used my own napa cabbage kimchi, I used Korean glass noodles, and then I had leftover hot pot stuff, so I just put that into the dumpling fillings along with some tofu. We have some leftover Korean kimchi jjigae soup with homemade napa cabbage kimchi. Two kinds of kimchi, daikon kimchi, which we made earlier, and then a quick cucumber kimchi. Here's the acorn salad, which we just made today, and then some buckwheat soba noodles with the dressing that I showed you, ground and roasted sesame seeds topped with some Korean style seaweed. So let's give this a try. Oops! Oh, there goes the acorn jelly on my thigh. Let's try that again. Alright, so acorn jelly. What do you think of the acorn jelly, Bart?
It doesn't taste like much in itself, but then you have the seasoning and the vegetables, right?
The sauce is great, and the veggies really absorb the sauce. And I think when you eat the acorn jelly with the veggies, it's pretty good. I like the difference in texture. This is very what Asians call QQ, kind of like that jelly taste and texture. And then you have the crunch of all of the veggies. And it's a very nice contrast. I really do like this umami sauce, viral TikTok, Instagram, social media dressing, which Bart, who is not on social media, somehow found. All right, so let's try the soba noodles. Okay, so Bart ground the sesame seeds in his mortar and pestle that he got from the Thai market. These Korean soba noodles are a little bit firmer in texture than the Japanese kind. Don't you think so, Bart? And I like the seaweed. Korean seaweed is very different from Japanese nori, just in terms of the texture and the flavor and the crunch. Nice and refreshing. I like it. Oh, apparently it is actually Japanese soba, but Bart said that it's pure buckwheat, and so there's no wheat in it. No semolina wheat, so it tastes a little bit different. My homemade kimchi dumplings that I have in the freezer ready for our Korean meals. Dumplings are really great for using up whatever veggies you have in your fridge. And so I put taro in here because I had that left over from hot pot. Bok choy, cabbage, all kinds of stuff. Kimchi, tofu. And so we're having our leftover kimchi jjigae. We waited a little bit longer and our kimchi fermented a little bit more, so it was pretty good. I think we made ours a little bit too salty because we forgot to wash off all the salt. So next time we'll try to rinse off the salt more when making our own kimchi. And then we have the daikon kimchi that we made earlier too. And our quick pickle cucumber kimchi. And then to go with our food, Bart is drinking this Korean beer that's made out of
rice. It's called makgeolli.
It's makgeolli, and it's made out of rice, and it looks like this. Yeah, it kind of has like a horchata vibe or a eggnog vibe. It's very thin. Do you like the taste of it?
Yeah, it's kind of like a sparkling sake, more or less, but less alcoholic.
Sparkling sake. You guys know I'm crazy as is, so I can't have any alcohol. But sounds interesting. So I hope you enjoyed trying new Korean food with us today. I actually found out about acorn jelly recently from Michelle Zauner. She wrote this book, Crying in H Mart, which is about her experiences as a Korean American losing her mother. And I first found out about her when I read her New Yorker short memoir, which then became her expanded book. And I've been wanting to read this for a long time, and I finally had a chance once my classes ended this holiday break. And she did a YouTube video collaboration with H Mart in which she made an acorn jelly salad, and she actually made the acorn jelly herself using the powdered acorn jelly. So maybe next time I'll try that myself. I really enjoyed trying this new dish, new to me. And it's interesting to see how the jelly took on the flavor of the dressing, even though it didn't really have a lot of flavor itself. So I'll link Michelle Zauner's YouTube video in the description box below, as well as the other creators who shared their recipes that inspired tonight's dinner. So thanks for coming with us, and I hope you try these recipes yourself. All right, so here's day 2 of our Korean challenge week, where we're traveling with our taste buds while staying in our living room. So here's another dish that we've never had before, and it is a New Year dish, and it is a rice cake Korean soup with potatoes and the same kimchi dumplings that I made earlier this week, the same acorn jelly, a quick kale salad, more kimchi, and a crispy tofu dish. Bart, do you want to say what's in the sauce for the tofu dish?
There's a lot of rice syrup, Korean chili powder, lots of garlic, onion, soy sauce, cornstarch, and that's it, I think.
All
Rice
right.
vinegar.
So now we're going to try it. It's pretty good. It's actually not very spicy. Very crispy. Soup is really good. Bart said it tastes like white people soup. My understanding is that the Japanese also eat mochi for New Year's, mochi soup, ozoni I think it's called, but I've never had it, which is weird because I grew up in Hawaii. I've eaten a lot of mochi, but I've never had that in the soup form, and I think it's because maybe people in Hawaii don't really eat it too much. It's really good, really chewy, and the soup is not spicy at all. Bartos, what is the base for the soup?
It's homemade vegetable broth I made a couple of days ago. And other than that, just some onion and garlic and salt. That's it.
Oh, wow. You can really taste the flavors of the veggies in the broth. And Bart also used daikon in his homemade broth as well.
It's a nice contrast to the spicy stuff.
I really like the rice cake in the soup. Never had it before. Have you ever had it before, Bart?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I have another recipe
Never tried it before.
that uses seaweed, which I want to make with the rest of the rice cakes.
All right, so now we have the leftover acorn jelly.
It's soaked a little bit.
One day it'll become my favorite. It's not my favorite yet. But you know, kimchi was also not my favorite. Now I love it. Kale salad? The kale salad tastes like miso paste.
That's because there's miso paste in it, or rather Korean miso paste. Doenjang.
Doenjang. Really good. Thank you, Bart, for making this.
You're welcome.
third time is a charm. I like the acorn jelly a little bit more than the first 2 times. So we're continuing our Korean food week, trying new foods that we haven't had before. And Bart is actually prepping something we've not ever tried before, and it's jujube, I think that's how you say it, or maybe jujube ginger tea. There's no caffeine in it, but what Bart did was for 24 hours he soaked the dried red jujube fruits, and this is what they look like after they soaked for 24 hours, and Bart has de-seeded them. And now Bart is cutting up some ginger slices, fresh ginger, and he's gonna put it in that jar right there with some sugar, and that's gonna macerate in the fridge for about a month. Is that right, Bart? And then we're gonna, I guess, pour boiling water over it to make a tea drink in about a month's time. So Bart is prepping that today. Alright, so here is day 4, I think, of our Korean week. So we have topokki in the top left-hand corner. We have a enamel blanched soybean sprouts. More kimchi. And then we have some of our leftover japchae from yesterday. And the new dish for today is a soup made with a fermented soybean base. It's kind of like Japanese miso. Bart, do you want to tell us about what this soup is?
It's called Doenjang jjigae. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but there's potatoes in there, zucchini, tofu, green onion, and my homemade vegetable broth.
Okay, all right, let's give it a try. It's like a stronger version of a miso soup. And Bart put silken tofu in it. You know what this reminds me of? It tastes kind of like a beer-based, like beef bourguignon, doesn't it? He said he agreed. It tastes like there's like balsamic vinegar or like a red wine base, isn't it? Did you put any like sake or like elk
No,
horn?
nothing. It's just really fermented paste.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like a much more intense miso paste. All right, have to chase it with a kimchi piece. All right. Tteokguk. This one's actually an instant tteokguk that I made from a packet, and I bought it because the Korean store had a sign that said must try, and it was vegan. But I don't think it's the best tteokguk. Kind of lacking flavor. It's okay for instant. Bart's banchan enamel sprouts. I like how crispy they are. And these are not the same as the mung bean sprouts. These are actually sprouted soybeans. And I like them a lot better than the other bean sprouts that you eat in Asian cuisine. These are much more nutty. They have much more of a crunch to them. And I think Bart blanched these very briefly for just like a couple seconds.
10 minutes actually.
Oh,
And they're still
okay.
crispy.
So he blanched these for 10 minutes, and they're very crispy. They taste almost raw, but you have to cook them. And we have more of the japchae. The great thing is that when you make one kind of cuisine for the whole week, which we never do, this is like our first time doing that, you can kind of like roll over your leftovers, and you can add one new dish every day, and then you can kind of like eat a variety of different dishes throughout the week. So that's what we're doing. I just wanted to show off my latest ceramic creation. I made this one with cosmic tea dust, and it's sparkly. It's food grade. And Bart is eating more of that rice horchata like sake beer in my latest ceramic creation with cosmic tea dust. Alright, so this is day 5 of our Korean week, and Bart just made some kimchi brown rice stir fry with some Korean seaweed using our own kimchi that we made before Christmas, right? And now it's very fermented. Really good. Did you put anything else in here besides our kimchi?
There's gochujang in there, green onions, a little bit of sesame oil.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
So all the flavor just comes from our kimchi. And you can really tell that over the weeks it's been getting richer and richer in flavor. And we still have leftovers from before. So we're rolling our leftovers during kimchi week and Korean week. Alright, so we have come to day 6 of our Korean week, and on our menu are a couple of dishes that Bart actually cooked with the Korean Netflix nun, Jungkwon. He went to Seoul a couple days ahead of me to sleep with strangers on an unheated floor and to pick veggies from the garden and cook. And so Bart made braised black Chinese or shiitake mushrooms, and then 2 kinds of mushrooms. He also made a glazed barbecue king oyster mushroom as well.
That's from another book.
Oh, sorry, that's not from...
This is the one recipe from
okay, so this is from Jungkwon, the Netflix Korean nun. Then we have Korean crispy pancakes with the kimchi that we made ourselves before Christmas. So that it's about 3 weeks old, and that's the last homemade kimchi that we have. Another quick pickle cucumber, and some brown rice. All right, so let's give it a try. All right, I'm gonna bite into the crispy pancakes while they're crispy. We made this before. This is a mangshi recipe, but the first time we're making it with our own kimchi. Very good. Alright. Now we have Bart's recipe from the nunnery. This is really good. It's very sweet.
There's 2 kinds of sweetener in there. There's brown rice syrup, and then there's I have a fruit syrup.
Fruit syrup and brown rice syrup. Interesting. Alright, this is Bart's barbecue king oyster. They're both very good mushroom dishes. Bart's barbecue mushrooms kind of remind me of teriyaki. It made me think that this could be a really good spam musubi spam, because I like these better than commercial spam. I should make spam musubi with these as the spam.
Like a lot of the barbecue sauce left.
Really good. Quick pickles. Very tasty. Thank you for making these, Bart. So Bart is just telling me that the sweetness that comes from this teriyaki actually comes from a grated pear as well as some grated bell peppers, which you blended. This is a recipe, and rice syrup as well. So that's interesting. I never thought of using a grated pear to make the sweetness for the teriyaki sauce. And Bart said this recipe comes from Joanne Molinaro, the Korean vegan, from the cookbook that he bought me for Christmas, which I think he bought for himself too, right? This is really, really good. I really like this. All right, so for our very last Korean recipe for Korean week, it's actually been more like 10 days, but I've not filmed every recipe we've made. I'm making Mangchi's wonderful sweet caramelly walnut hot tteokguk, and I have made a quick batter. It's a very wet batter. About an hour ago, it's been sitting for an hour. I made it in my stand mixer, but you can actually do it by hand. And so now I'm going to smash down the batter, and then I'm going to give it another 10 minutes to rise. If you never had hot tteokguks before, they're actually pretty easy to make, and they're a yeasted sweet pancake. You can actually fill them with savory things too, but I like the sweet ones. And a traditional filling is actually walnuts with brown sugar and a little bit of cinnamon. Although you can really fill them with anything you want. And today I'm making mac and cheese, the traditional one with the brown sugar and the walnuts. So that filling is here. Alright, so let me get this resting for another 10 minutes, and then I'll shape them into 8 balls, and I'll show you how to make the hot tteokguks. So my dough has rested a second time for about 10 minutes, and I've turned it out to a floured flat surface, this little serving plate. I use about half a cup of flour. It's a pretty sticky dough, and I use my bench scraper to divide this into 8 separate balls, and I flatten them out seam side up, and I'm gonna put in about a tablespoon of my walnut cinnamon sugar mixture. Alright, so let me show you how to do that. Pretty easy. So I'm not using a rolling pin, I'm just using my pizza technique to kind of stretch these guys out a little bit. Alright, so rough seam side up. I'm gonna fill them with about a heaping tablespoon of the sugar mixture. That looks good. Alright, maybe that's too much actually. Alright. So then I'm gonna pinch everything together, making sure that the sugar is completely covered up by the dough. Alright, so then, once everything's kind of bundled up like a little manapua, I'm gonna put it back onto my floured surface, seam side up, maybe a little bit more flour on the bottom. And then when I go to pan fry these, I'm going to put them seam side down first, so they all kind of sear together and stick together. Alright, so now I have 7 more to do, and then I'll show you how to pan fry these. Alright, so here are my 8 little sugary manapua. They're not manapua, but they look like them. It's so hot here in Southeast Asia, they're proofing so quickly, so I'm going to put them in the pan with the oil, and I'm going to pan fry them. So let me show you how to do that. Alright, so my pan, I'm using a non-stick pan, has been heating for maybe 2 minutes or so. I have some neutral oil in the pan, so I'm going to take my seam side down, and I'm going to stick it into the pan. I think my pan is big enough to do 2 balls at a time. Ooh. So I've made this before, not in Singapore, and it's so humid here that the dough is so wet. Alright, so that's gonna go for 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna smash down the little balls with a spatula. And it's gonna make kind of a cute little circle shape with these guys. So let me show you after 30 seconds. Alright, so I'm using the back of my spatula to press these down, and then I'm going to let them go for a minute more, and then I'm going to flip them and do a minute on the other side. Alright, so here's my completed plate of 8 caramelly, cinnamony, walnut hot tteokguks. Alright, so Bart, the first 2 on the top are the hottest. You can take one if you want. Oops, that one was burnt. That's why I was trying to hide it. Okay, so let's give these a try while they're hot. Okay. Ooh. Super hot. For some reason that bite didn't have any sugar. There we go. Oh no. My phone died, so I'm using my iPad. See that oozy goodness? good. It's these are always best eaten hot. But I actually find that because no one can eat 8 of these in one sitting, you can pop them in your toaster the next morning, and they're actually pretty good. And they reheat that way. Nice, baby. You want some? What do you think, Bert?
They're good. I like them. Nice and fluffy.
Okay. You should definitely make these. They're not that hard at all. They're very easy. Super good.